Hi everyone, this is Gayle, and I started this project and decided I probably ought to videotape it. I'm going to be making a beach sign for my son and his daughter and his wife and family. They have bought an RV with the pandemic and everything, and my daughter-in-law has metastatic breast cancer, so her immune system is pretty bad. So instead of being cooped up in their house all the time, they bought a camping trailer so that they can go places and be in their own space with their own stuff and not have to worry about other things. And they were here for Christmas, and they had a little sign. There's a little area when you go into the trailer. There's a little area above, I don't think it was above the sink. I think it was between the kitchen and the television. And there was like a little framed area, and they had a sign in there that said something about our mountain cabin. And I made the comment that we needed to get them some other signs so that they could, have one, change them with wherever they're going. So we're going to the beach in June. And I thought that it would be a good idea to make them a welcome to our beach house sign. Now I'm going to be doing it in vinyl. Well, let me back up. I bought these wooden plaques. They came from Amazon, and they are, let's see, they are 6 by 11.5, almost 12. And they came with jute cord in them and everything, but I decided to take the cord off. And actually what I need to do is get my spackle out. This is going to be a Dollar Tree project. I'll do this after I paint. But I'm going to be using Waverly white chalk paint. And this is I don't know if it's a folk art brush. So it just says plaid, so I imagine it's folk art. But it really does a good job of applying this paint. And I'm going to put at least one coat, and probably one is all I'm going to do, because this is not going to be the final layer. What I'm going to do is paint this and let it dry. Then I'm going to apply some vinyl letters on it and paint it again to make it look the way I want it to look. And then I'll peel the vinyl letters off, and we will have, hopefully, a pretty nice sign. Sorry about that. I'm trying to paint and talk and create and think all at the same time. And when you get to be my age, that gets a little bit tough. So please excuse the noise. If you happen to hear any noise that sounds like gunshots, they are. I live in the country, and my neighbors, the man next door to me, which is the closest, he's not very close, but he's the closest neighbor I've got. He and his brother and his cousin live in 3 houses right together. They're through the woods from between my house and their house. But on nice weekends, they like to get out and shoot their guns. And they've decided to do that today, of course, since I was going to film a video. But they're safe. They watch out for me. They're really good people to have around. They watch out for me a lot. But anyway, I'm going to let this dry, because I don't want to put vinyl down on wet paint, and then I'll be back. Sorry guys, I have had so many changes in what I wanted to do that I've neglected to turn the camera back on when I finally got to where I am now, but I do have some things left that I can show you. As you can see, I changed my board. Instead of being all white, I painted some blue along the bottom. And that's because I have got stencil letters on my board. And it says welcome, and this says beach house. I think you can see those. But I've also got 2 hour, and I also have a picture of a trailer that I'm hoping I can do. I don't know if I'll have room. But I want to show you the process. I have cut this out on my Scan and Cut. When you're cutting stencils or any kind of vinyl, you want to reduce your cut pressure to a -3 or -4 and change your blade to #1. I believe I did show you that. So I have put welcome on here, and I have put beach house on here. So now what I need to do, let me just move this out of the way for a minute. I'm going to transfer these to to where I can put them on my sign. Now this says 2 hour. I don't know if you can see it or not. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel off, because I want to transfer the letters. I'm peeling off the outside of the vinyl, or stencil, whatever you want to call this. And you need to be a little careful. You don't have to be too careful, but careful enough that you don't, let me get some paper towels here, that you don't pull up your letters. And then you can just pull out, this is the center of the O, this is called weeding. In the center of this O. And then I have different sizes of transfer tape. I use the Arteza transfer tape, but any transfer tape will do. Even the Dollar Tree clear, I don't want to say contact paper, but that's what it's sold as. But I do want to line up this line that's on here with the bottom of my letters, because that will help me get it straight. Now I'm going to leave that just like that until I do this one. And I need a little bit larger piece. That'll work. First thing I'm going to do, this is the trailer, and this is so cute because this is for their trailer. And I'm pulling off the outside. Then I'm going to pull off the inside, and this is where you've got to be careful because there's lots of little pieces on this trailer. See, like there's that little window, and there's even a place inside that window. So just keep your hook handy so you can press down anything that looks like it needs to be pressed down. Just take it slow. So you can see we're beginning to see the trailer. And this has a very thin little line here. You can barely see. The reason I like a paper towel is I can put all these little sticky pieces that I pull off on the paper towel. And let's do the door. And the door has windows, so you've got to be careful of the windows. It's got a little step down here. This can really be fun if you let it. I know when I first started doing this, I was so stressed trying to do everything. But then after I got used to it, I found that I kind of liked it. You pull that off. So now we have a wheel. Okay, now the windows, like the door windows, have these little itty bitty, let's see if I should have my tweezers around here somewhere. They have these little itty bitty pieces. And those might be a little hard to get with your fingers, so have a pair of tweezers on hand. Whoops. You see there, I pulled up the whole thing. So all you got to do is put it back where you want it. And I have no idea, oh there it is. I'll say I have no idea where the, no that's not it. I have no idea where the little window thing went. Let me try this one. See, they flip and then I don't know where they go. That one I was able to grab. And then over here we've got windows in here. This is sort of a whimsical trailer. It's not really structurally, excuse me, structurally drawn. As you can see, these windows are not round. They don't fit. They don't fit the shape of the actual window. Now these tweezers I got as a set on Amazon, and I love them. They have so many of the different pointed tips to them. Can you see the tips on that? I absolutely love them. They're all different ends, but I like these, you know, the ones that are shaped like this, just for things like this. Or anything where they're good for picking up beads, tiny beads, or rhinestones. I believe that's the last. And that appears to be the last piece. All right, so now I'm going to take my transfer tape. And again, I'm going to try to line this up a little bit. Maybe like that. I don't know if that's straight or not. And then I take, this came with the transfer tape, but it's an Arteza sort of an embosser, or what, I don't know what you call it. Squeegee. But it's got a soft, this is soft. It's sort of almost velvety. So just make sure it's stuck good and well. So now I can hold on to that. So now I'm going to see if I'm going to have room for my trailer. So I can place my 2-hour there. And no, there's not going to be room for the trailer. So I want to bring this down here. And I don't know if I can, I may have to leave the trailer off. I just put welcome to our beach house. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is peel the backing of the vinyl off, and it will just leave the words on my transfer tape. And I have found if you, instead of pulling up, if you pull across so that this paper is folded down, you know, kind of flat, it comes off much better. Now let me get, I think I just moved it into the other room. Okay, our sign is dry now. And I think I've placed this, excuse me, where it needs to go. So let me pull it back on. I stuck it on a piece of paper so it wouldn't lose its sticky. And let's see. So maybe right there, I believe. And I'll squeegee it down. And peel off my transfer tape. And again, I'll show you, see how I'm leaving it flat? It just pulls off much easier that way, and you're less likely to lose to pull up your letters. Okay, so there we go. So let me put that back on the paper. Another thing about your transfer tape is you can use it over and over and over again. Excuse me, I'm sorry, my camera must have moved. I just saw that I was out of frame. So now what I'm going to do is take a piece of acetate and lay it over top of this. You can put anything over it, but I'm just going to make sure that this is squeegeed down really good because I don't want paint to seep down under it. And just make sure all of it is okay. So now I'm going to paint over top of all this. Now this is white, Waverly white. Oh, and I don't know if I showed you or not. I took some of this Dollar Tree, it says lightweight spackling, and I filled these holes with it when I was off camera. So I wanted you to see that the holes have now been filled up with that spackling. So let me put my paper towel back down. And let me zoom out just a smidgen because you're not, something has happened to my camera. Let me see. Maybe I can do it that way. That way it's not so far away from me. Okay, so what I want to do, I'm going to paint the whole thing with white. Not white, I'm going to use plaster because it's not quite as white as the white. And then I'm going to go back with some of these other colors. I pulled out all my colors that I thought would go. I've got the same blue, I've got grotto, which is a bluish green. I've got some, this is moss. One thing I do want to do is I want to mix up something that's a little bit of a sand color. Now let me get to that later. Let me do the plaster first. And I'm going to use my big brush on that because I'm going to do the whole thing. And I'm going to paint right over these letters. Now this doesn't have to be a thick coat. Matter of fact, it might work better if it's not a thick coat. So just so you're covering up the white, because I really don't want white. Of course, you want to cover up the blue. These are the best brushes for working with chalk paint. And I believe I got them at Walmart, but they're also on Amazon. And let me just get up at the top where I've still got some white showing. Okay, got a little bit of blue down here. I do want to cover up that blue, but my other colors will cover it up when I get to it. Alright, so now I'm going to take some of the plaster, and let me get a popsicle stick, or a craft stick, whatever you call it. And I'm going to mix a little bit of elephant, which really isn't a brown, it's more of a gray. But it's sort of a grayish brown, if that makes any sense. And there might be enough right here. Where did my little brush go? Here's my little brush. To mix here, because I want a little bit of a sand color. And I don't know if this is going to do it or not. I may have to wait until I get some different colors. I'm going to use my little scoopy tool here to get some more because that's not anywhere near enough. And it doesn't even have to be mixed real well. Whoops, got it on the top. And what I want to do is I'm going to paint down here with this color. And while it's still wet, I'm going to add a little bit more of the plaster right above it so it'll kind of blend a little bit. Because I don't really want a line. Then I'm going to take some of this, what did I say this was? Grotto. And this needs to be stirred. I stirred it yesterday, but it evidently needs to be stirred again. It's got a lot of whatever it is that's in here that looks like oil on the top. But I'm going to take this with the same brush that's got the plaster on it. And I'm going to brush it on here. And again, I'm wanting it to blend. Hope I don't contaminate my paint. And maybe you can tell where I'm going. I want this to look like water. And I might add just a touch of the blue. And you need to do this while the paint's still wet so that it will blend. Otherwise, you'll just end up with colors. And a little bit of that blue mixed in with this. Now I'm going to use this blue all by itself. Oops. And this is going to be sky. Now I do want a line here. Because if you look at the ocean and you look at the sky, you do see a horizon. Don't know what that is. Probably came off of one of my paint bottles. And I'm going to just play with this by adding color and going over it with other things. Until I get exactly the look I'm looking for. Dip a little bit of this into my tray. I know the ocean is supposed to be blue, but if you look at it where I live, it's got a greenish color to it. It's blue, but it's also green. So I'm going to be mixing the blues and the greens. And of course this down here is going to be sand. Now I'm going to take a small brush and I'm going to take the green, I think, and draw my horizon. And if I don't like it, I'll just paint over it. It's one good thing about paint. Probably want it to blend in a little bit. Any of you that have watched any of my other videos know that I kind of create on the fly as I go along, and I might change my mind midstream. There's something here too. And then I'm going to take, probably ought to use a different brush. I'll be using a lot of brushes here. That's too soft. Let me find one that's not quite so soft. And I'm going to dip it in the white. Oh, there's a place right there that didn't get any blue. And actually, instead of using a brush, I think I'm going to use a sponge. If I haven't already taken them all into the other room, which I did. I decided not to use a sponge. I'm going to use one of these little brushes from Dollar Tree. One of the little makeup brushes. I'm just going to dab it. And I'm going to make a few little clouds. And I'll have some come down from the top. Okay. So I'm going to let this dry. And then I'm going to come back and distress it a little bit, or maybe not. Maybe let me just see how these letters look. Let me pull up this E. There you go, there's the E. Now I did use stencil vinyl. You don't have to use stencil vinyl if you don't have it. You can use any kind of vinyl if you know that you choose. Looks like some of the paint got up underneath that one. That's okay. This is a rustic one anyway. But if I pull these letters off, I can't distress it very much, except around the edges, which I might do. Okay, so I've got all of my letters out. And most of it looks okay. There's a few little places I might want to touch up. That's up in the cloud, so that doesn't really matter. I think I might take, I'll put that other little tiny brush in the water. So let me just take a little brush here and kind of touch up down here on the blue. Again, I'll slow this down so you don't have to watch every little touch-up I do. Okay, I've got all my brushes here. My little jar is full of brushes. I'm going to rinse them out real quick, then I'll be back. Okay, it's still not quite dry. I'm going to run my heat gun over it a little bit. But, you know, it doesn't pay for me to pause these videos because I've come up with so many different other ideas. That was my dog letting my cat know that she shouldn't be on the floor. I got to thinking this would look really nice with a little bit of a shiplap look. And I don't know if it's going to mess it up or not, or whether to go over the letters or not. So let me just see something here. Let me try, if I put this here, I could put a mark there, but then this would be in the middle. This is 6 inches, so if I do one every 3 inches, or every 2 inches, okay, let me put this next to it. So if I put one here, it would come underneath that. If I put one here, it will go across these letters. I probably should have done this before, so I don't think I'm going to do the shiplap. But I am going to put some kind of a little wash over this just so it's not so in your face. I'm thinking I might take just a little bit of white I got these little trays also at Dollar Tree in the party section, where they have all the serving bowls and everything. They really come in handy. And oops, I've got a little spritzer. Of course, the big one, my big water spritzer, is in the other room where I'm moving my craft room. And let's see if I can make it just a little bit of a wash. And watch me mess the whole thing up. Gone to all this trouble and messed the whole thing up. But before I do it there, let me find a colored piece of paper or something that I can... I don't want to use my good cardstock. I had a piece of blue cardstock out here the other day, but that's probably another thing that ended up in the other room. About the inside of this box. And just and let me dry it and just see how dark it is. I don't want a lot of white. I just want a little something to break up the blue. And that's pretty light. So cross your fingers. I'm going to see if I can get it done without totally messing up everything. I'm not going to do much because I don't want a whole lot. And just go across just to tone it down a little bit. And I may have to go over I took my Q-tips in the other room too. I really could use a Q-tip right now. Let's see what else I've got that might take that off. Because I don't want it on my blue this much. Alright, have to go again. Sorry about this, folks, but one day when I get everything organized, I'll be in one place. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and really this doesn't look that bad. Once it's dried, it's not quite as bold as I thought it was going to be. So I think I'm going to leave these in here. And I'm trying to put tops back on everything. I've got a mess here. But I think that's going to work. See, it kind of toned it down a little bit. So now, the next step, let me put these up here to dry, just wash them out. The next step is to put rope on it. Okay, hopefully I won't have to go into the other room again. We started moving things last night, and I kept things in here that I thought I'd be using, and evidently I wasn't thinking very well. But I'm going to take some of this decorative nautical rope, and this is the cotton rope, and from Dollar Tree. And I'm going to cut the rope. It's sealed with a zip tie. And you see the end has got tape on it. I've got these on because I'm going to be using my heat gun and I don't want to burn myself. The pink ones are from Dollar Tree, but I had wanted them on my other two fingers, so I ended up ordering some on Amazon. It was a set, and I really like it. So let me cut this tape off. Let me get some decent scissors. Those are not going to be good scissors. And let me just get this tape off, if I can get it off with my thumb guard on, which I couldn't. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of hot glue and then kind of stick this in together. You can see why I need more than just my pointer finger covered. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this rope, I'm going to put a glob of glue right there, I'm going to put that on that corner and hold it until it cools. This is one of those makeup squeegee, makeup applicator, something like that from Dollar Tree. It's over in the cosmetic section, but it's really good for holding down your items that have hot glue on them. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is just follow around the top and put dabs of glue. It doesn't have to be a solid line. And just take your time. Don't try to do it all at one time. And make sure it's where you want it before it cools. And then just keep doing that. Just keep adding little dabs of glue. You just need to hold the rope. It doesn't need to be stuck all the way around. And you might want to give your rope a twist every once in a while so it doesn't untwist while you're working with it. You want to put a bigger glob here in the corner because you want to make sure you hold it, but you don't want it to go over the edge. Have some kind of straight edge so you can make sure it's straight, or if you don't care if it's straight, that's okay. Give that a second to cool because I'm going to be twisting it, and I don't want to twist while the glue is still wet. So let me go ahead and do a few dots down here. I'm going to go all the way down this side, which means I'll put a bigger glob there. And place this down. See, it's also good for removing glue. I've got that corner sticking out, but I guess that's okay. Alright, so I'm going to dot, dot, dot down through here. I think I'll just go halfway. Whoops. Be careful with your glue gun because it will scratch the paint. Actually, I should have put my Mod Podge on it before I did this. Well, too late now. I'll put it on when I get the rope on it. You notice I didn't go all the way to the corner because I'm going to have to cut the rope. And it's easier to cut when it's not attached. I can attach it after I cut it. A little bit of that hot glue is showing. And what I'm going to try to do, and I don't know if you can see or not, let me get back in here. I'm going to try to cut it on one of these lines. And be generous with your hot glue here, because you want to glue it to the sign and to the other rope. I'm going to turn it upside down and put a little bit of this hot glue here on these raw edges. So I can kind of get them in. It's okay if it comes over the corner a little bit. And I'm going to put a little bit right here. And smooth it out with my spatula. Like I say, that's okay, because we're going to put something in this corner to cover up this joint anyway. Okay, so there's the rope part. But let me go ahead and put some Mod Podge on here. I'm going to put the matte. Even though it says it's a matte, it still has a little bit of a shine to it. And let me get another brush. Put it in one of these little, oops, that's still got water in it. That's the one I just washed. Don't need a whole lot. Just enough to kind of take the dullness of the chalk paint off and to protect the words. Probably need a little bit more than what I put out here. Whoa, don't need that much. I said this would have been easier if I had done it before I put the rope on it, but I just am so, what's the word, discombobulated with my craft room being in 3 different rooms right now. I've got this room, I've got the spare bedroom where I put my wreath making things, and then I've got in my new craft room, which used to be the living room, I've got everything that I've moved out of here. So it's really difficult. Just trying to smooth this out. Make sure everything's covered so everything has the same finish to it. Okay. Now, I don't know where that came from. Piece of glue that got on there somehow. Something I did. And I think while that is you know, I said I never stop. I'm always adding something. And I had out a little tiny brush. And I'm just going to mix this in, let it mix in with the Mod Podge. I just put a little dab on it. I'm going to put little white caps. Of course, more towards the edge here. So it looks like waves are breaking. I know, I'm taking it to extreme. You don't, this is absolutely optional. You can see with the Mod Podge on here, it's kind of mixing with that, so it's not taking away the harshness of the lines. So now it looks sort of like the waves are breaking onto the sand. And then I'm going to take just a little dot and put some little white caps out in the water. Because if you've ever been near the ocean, you know that it's not always clear and smooth. It's usually got white caps or some kind of little waves. I think that one needs to be smoothed out a little. Just put more Mod Podge over it, and if it's still, the paint's still wet, it'll smear it a little bit. And just Mod Podge over it just to smooth it, you know, maybe smear it a little bit if it's still wet. Since the Mod Podge is clear, it won't affect anything except it might smear that a little bit. So now we have a few little white caps out in the ocean. Alright, now I've got some things I'm going to glue on here, but I have to wait for it to, the Mod Podge to dry. But I've got this starfish, I've got some sea glass, I've got some shells, a couple more shells over here. I might do that here in the corner. Like that. This came in a kit that I got, I think, at Michael's. And I didn't realize until after I started using it that these are not real starfish. They're cast in something, because the back of them is perfectly flat and not like a real starfish that has little teeth things in it. But I do want to stick this piece of sea glass in here somewhere. Maybe I'll just tuck it up under there. Whoops. That certainly didn't go where I wanted it to go. Let me take these off. They're good to keep you from getting burned, but sometimes it messes up with your grip. I'll just try not to get my fingers anywhere near the hot glue like I did right there. And I'll have to Mod Podge right there a little bit. I've already put the brush away, so let me just get one of my little cheapy brushes. And I'm going to put Velcro on the back. The beach home doesn't show up very well there, but beach house rather. But I think my son and daughter-in-law are going to like it. We're going to their house this weekend for the first time since the pandemic started, so we're excited. But anyway, there you go. Now if you wanted to hang this up on the wall, you could take either some rope or some whatever and glue it on the back. But since theirs is going into a little place on their camper, I'm going to put Velcro on the back. And so it'll just Velcro up on their wall. But anyway, hope you like this. I had fun doing it. I apologize for all of the running back and forth. I promise as things go on, I will not do that. So I hope everyone has a great day, and I'll be back again with another tutorial. Bye-bye.